Hey guys, happy Thursday and welcome to Tea Time Thursday with me. I hope all of you guys are doing well, and I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to talk today about doubt and self-doubt, basically. Hey! I want to say hi, little cousin. But I wanted to talk today about self-doubt and doubt. And on Monday, I woke up with that itself. And I was realizing this week how I've had 3 different seasons of my life where I've dealt with doubt differently. And once I became aware of the concept, and once I became more aware of self-growth and the spiritual path. And it's really interesting, and I thought I'd share because I think that just like everything, the way that we deal with things, the way that we deal with fear and anxiety and depression and even doubt is different for everybody. So I just wanted to share my 3 different seasons and open up the conversation of how you've dealt with doubt before and how you deal with it now. And I'll start off with Monday. Like Monday, I woke up again with this feeling of doubt and a little anxious, and the reason why was because it was my first time life coaching or having a life coaching call in the last, maybe I want to say 2 months, and I also had a live conversation with Victor right after. So I woke up with just this feeling of, am I capable to do this? Can I really do this, basically? And should I take a longer break, or maybe I should take another class? Like, just all these things that my head was saying. So this time around, and I've mentioned this in other videos before, where I've been learning these past couple of months, maybe the last 2-3 months, to be aware of my feelings and my emotions and give it space. And even saying it out loud. And it was interesting because Monday, I woke up with that feeling and I said it out loud, like, today I am doubtful. And as soon as I said that, I became aware why. And nonetheless, it doesn't matter why, it's just that recognition of, I feel this way right now. So I said it out loud, and as soon as I said it, it felt a little bit less heavy. And I think we all have this assumption or this thought that if we say what we feel, if we say our fears, if we say what we're anxious about, they become more real. But what I've been learning is when you say these things, if anything, they start to dissolve. So I said it out loud, and again, I gave it space. And I wanted to speak about the other 2 seasons of my life where I was in that space of doubt. And okay, so the first time, right, my first season where I became aware of our emotions and our feelings, and where I was opening to this path of self-growth and spirituality, it was a lot of instant gratification. And that's the way that I would deal with a lot of my things. Not just fear and not just whatever I was anxious about, even doubt. And at the time, I didn't really know exactly what it was. I just knew that whatever I felt was uncomfortable. And my instant gratification came into messaging people that I would feel that would make me feel better, and being in this space of dating where I was using that as a way to cope with my feelings of feeling uncomfortable. And through that space, I don't know if you guys know, maybe you guys do, maybe you guys don't, I ended up getting into this space where I almost got married. And it's so interesting because during that season, it became super dark, and I became super unhappy, and I became also more driven to learn about self-growth and spirituality. And I started to meditate more, I started to read more books, and once I removed myself out of that situation, I became hyper aware of my own insecurities, my own ways of coping with all these uncomfortable feelings. And I know a lot of us, I don't want to say a lot of us, but I think most of us do that, where we're so uncomfortable with these feelings that we go straight into something that will make us feel better. And it's that instant gratification. And it can be, mine was in that space of dating. It could be food, it could be sometimes drugs, it could be like so many things. But it's that instant high that will make you feel better and that will push these feelings under the rug. And I became aware of that. I totally became aware of that. And like I said, I learned more about these tools that we could use where we can connect with ourselves and where we feel less of these feelings and we feel better. And I started doing that. So I got into meditation, I got into more journaling, into more reading, into more running, more exercising, and all of those tools became my go-to whenever I felt these feelings of doubt or uncomfortable feelings. So, hey guys, Esley, Annie, Carla, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So I'm talking about doubt, and I'm talking about my doubt that I woke up with on Monday and how I've been dealing with those feelings these last couple of months, and basically how I've been aware how I've had 3 seasons, so it feels like, where I dealt with doubt differently. So I'm talking about my first season, which was instant gratification. And yeah, so I got out of that relationship and I became aware of these tools, going into the meditation space, going into running, going into journal writing. And whenever I would start to feel uncomfortable, whenever I would start to feel anxious or doubtful, I would jump into one of these tools. And it helped. And it totally helped. And I want to say that all of these tools, every way that we cope with our feelings, serve us to a certain point. And at some point they self-destruct, or at some point it's time for change and it's time for us to deal with it in a different way. But yeah, so first it was like that instant gratification, and then the second was using these tools. And I'm still so, what's that word? I still share how these tools totally help, and I still use them myself. But a couple months ago, actually, I entered this whole other space again of feeling dark. And it's so interesting because I had this perspective that once you go through a dark season, you just know how to deal with it and it'll never happen to you again. And I was totally wrong. I remember asking, I think it was my friend Carla, like, hey, do you think that if you get depressed once, that you can get depressed again? Or if you enter that space, do you think you can enter that space again? And she was like, yeah, I think so. And it did. So I was entering this space of feeling low energy, feeling so unmotivated, feeling super uncertain and doubtful. And I did what I knew and what I learned how to do these past couple of months, which was meditate, go running, try anything to connect with myself and try to push it away. And and then I remember thinking like, oh man, like I'm entering this season of my life and I just don't want to get up in the morning. I don't want to do anything. And one of the reasons why I took this break of life coaching was because I was starting to realize that I couldn't show up for myself. And if I couldn't show up for myself, it wasn't fair to try to show up for somebody else. So I went with my gut feeling and I just took a break from life coaching. And it was scary because I've been starting out life coaching this past year, so I felt a little scary, like I just started and I'm gonna take a break. But it felt so right to do it as well. And yeah, so I let myself this time around feel it, even though it felt so scary. And I remember talking to, again, Carla, like we have all these conversations, and it had been like maybe a couple of weeks that we had talked, maybe a week, and she expressed to me how it's giving it space. And all of a sudden, like I started seeing things where Jack Kornfield or just other spiritual leaders that I follow started saying how whenever you feel these feelings, you do give it space. And working with my synergist, my therapist, it was going back to giving it the space. And it's scary. It's so scary to give doubt, to give fear, to give Carla be me. To give all of these feelings, these emotions space, because one, I think that a lot of us don't grow up with it. We don't grow up being all right with feeling these feelings or sharing how we feel. And two, I feel that a lot of us, maybe most of us, have this fear that if we share it, we're going to be judged, or it's going to become true, or just X, Y, and Z. There's so many reasons, I feel, that why we don't share it. And I started to do that. I started to give it space, and I literally said fuck it to everything. There were moments where I woke up and I didn't even want to get out of bed, and even though it was hard because that's so not like me, it's so not like me to be in bed all day and just to watch movies all day, and I was really trying to honor that part of myself that didn't want to do anything. So, and it was also like during winter, so you have like those winter feels of the weather, so I rode with it. I totally rode with it, and like I said, it felt hard, but it also felt like the right thing to do, to just ride with it. And something that my therapist and my synergist kept saying was, it's just a season, just feel it. And a lot of it has come up through it as well, and still now. But yeah, so I rode with it, and it was a different way of coping with it or dealing with it. It wasn't so much like I'm gonna wake up and go running, because that was my perspective, right? My perspective this past year before leading up to this season was, okay, I paused. Can you guys still hear me? So if you guys have anything to say, just share it. Share how you've dealt with doubt, how you deal with it now. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, so again, it was that energy, that frantic energy, I feel. And then I would feel better, and it would feel okay, and then I'd be back to doing whatever I had to do for the day. But yeah, so that season, what helped me navigate or exit that season of my life was two things. One, we did that raffle where we asked everybody to write a letter to themselves. And that picked up my spirits more, where I felt better, but it was from reading these letters. And I don't know exactly what it was, but it was so touching to read these letters, and it was so touching to hear people's hearts and their vulnerability out. And one of the feelings that I got was to do a silent vow to do a silent vow. And my plan was to do it for a week leading up to my best friend's birthday, but I only did it for 4 days. But that feeling of doing a silent vow was so strong, and yeah, it was my intuition, I think, speaking to me. And I had done these silent vows before, and I think I've only done it once before I went to Vietnam. And my intention with doing it then was because I was curious to see what it was like to do a silent vow and see what would arise. And it was kind of at the start of my spiritual path, where I was being aware of, okay, everything's within, be in silence, pray, meditate, get grounded. So yeah, so I did this silent vow, and it was for 4 days, and it was such a transition of my feelings, and such a transition of kind of exiting a little bit of this season and really connecting with myself and really grounding myself. And in this silent vow, so what I did is I turned off my phone, so I didn't have my phone for 4 days. So I didn't have social media, I didn't have contact with anybody, and I also didn't talk at home. So the way that I communicated with my parents was through just like a notepad, you know, but most of the time that was enough, like that was already too much work, so I would just stay quiet. And during this silent vow, I realized, one, how I was also creating my own suffering in the way that I wanted things to be, in the way that I had all these expectations of myself, in ways where I was trying so hard to not feel my feelings and to just put them under the rug, I had this realization of my reactions, or not just like verbally, but also emotionally, and how that just led to more of my feels. And yeah, so it was really good, and it really helped me shift my energy and become more aware of these feelings of doubt and just feelings itself, and how to just give them space. And since then, I've been trying to give these feelings and emotions more space. And of course, like I have other videos talking about this, but yeah, so I just wanted to share this. There are 3 different seasons of my life, and the ways that we deal with doubt, fear, is so different for everybody. But yeah, and okay, so Monday, right? So I woke up Monday and with this doubt, because I was back to life coaching after a couple of, maybe 2 months of not doing it. And I said it out loud, and I really wanted to do yoga, and I really wanted to meditate just as practice. And it's so interesting because I went into that space of meditation and of doing yoga without any expectation that it was going to make me feel better. Okay, can you guys hear me? It froze. It said poor connection. Connecting. Okay, I'm back, I think. Okay, so I had a question for you guys too, if you guys are still here, on positivity and being optimistic and how that helps with doubt or any kind of emotion or feeling. Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. So I'm back. So going back, if you guys want to share anything, let me know. I'm just sharing my experience with these 3 different seasons. And it's so funny because later after I post this, I'm like, oh, I should have said that. But yeah, share anything that you guys want to share. This space is totally open. But where I was going with it with my meditation space is how it just dissolved and I became more peaceful and more calm. And it didn't feel like it was everything of me, because I know that these feelings can become so big and sometimes they just overtake us and it feels like we become it and they drive us. And this time around it felt like it was there, but it was a really small piece of myself. And I actually did ask it during my book club. It was so funny. During my book club, we were talking about feelings and emotions, and I was like, well, what does anxiety say? And they're like, what? Like, so I don't know if you guys have tried talking to your feelings or emotions, but I actually asked the doubt, like, hey, why are you here? What's going on? And it's so interesting because it felt like it responded back where, oh, I just want you to be the best or to not fail. And I was like, oh, like there's a fear of failure or a fear of my own expectation of some sort of not being up to it, I guess. But yeah, like that spoke, and I'm like, okay, like I see it, I'm aware of it. It's not who I am, but it's right there. It's right here, right now. And yeah, like I said, during my meditation, it felt like it dissolved and it became smaller at the same time. And it wasn't the whole part of me. But yeah, I went on with my day and I did the life coaching, and it's so interesting because, again, I have such a conviction that our feelings and our emotions are here to show us, are here for a reason. They're here to show us something. They're here for us to learn, for us to grow in more consciousness, for us to grow in more of that space of love. And it's so interesting because we have these fears, we have these doubts, and once you're in that space that you're being doubtful about or that you're being fearful about, you realize like, oh, like there's no, like I have nothing to worry about. Like I'm fine. Like I am who I am, and showing up just like that is all right. And I think before, when I first started life coaching, it felt a little bit like I'm a life coach, I have to show up in this way, and I have to show up my best and be happy and just all these things. And this time around, it's been this perspective of I'm going to show up how I am because I'm also human. And my intention is still the same of giving that space of love and non-judgmental and that intention of connecting with yourself. But I don't have to go into that space trying to be all happy and dandy and my best. And it's interesting because just on its own, I am like that, and I go into these spaces like that, and without even trying. And again, like, it's just going back to like honoring being human and being more aware of it, and how when we're aware of it, it dissolves on its own. But yeah, so do you guys have anything that you guys want to share? I'm gonna give it a little time. Is Esley still here? Because she messaged me yesterday and I'm like, oh, can I share it? Or I don't know if she wants to share it. But you spoke about positivity, and yes, Esley's right there. Esley, would you like to share what you sent me, or can I share it? You can share it. Okay. So I'm going to share what she said because I liked it. So this is where the question popped up of the way that you talk to yourself, or the optimism, positivity. And, okay, so this is what you shared. So thank you, Esley, for messaging me about this. So the power of positivity, being negative can be so easy. Staying positive is more powerful because you're choosing to see the good and not the bad. I'm grateful for staying positive. It seemed to make my day better and ease my nerves. All the time, we are our own worst enemies. That's so true. So true. I tend to self-sabotage and self-doubt. I tend to be very hard on myself and be very negative. I'm trying to be more positive and reframe my mindset. There's a lot of things I'm capable of. I just have to keep reminding myself. Positivity is key. Yeah. I like that. That's true. I think the way that we talk to ourselves makes a huge, huge difference. So I know that even sometimes myself, like when we're in that space of doubt or fear or anxiety or anxiousness, whatever it is, we could get stuck in what it's saying, and we can go on this loop, and eventually it creates the way that we feel, and we do feel shitty, and we do feel like, oh man, like maybe like this is true, and we move through the day with that. But there's so much awareness when you become aware of it, and because when you become aware of it, then you can also change it and see the truth and see what you really are rather than what you're not. So that's so true. That's what I did Monday too. So on Monday, when I woke up with that doubt of life coaching, it became this feeling of, no, like I can show up. Like I know I can, and if what my doubt said, if I fail or if I fuck up or XYZ, like I also know that about myself, that I'm willing to learn from it and I'm willing to grow. Hey, Ermani. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, so do you guys have anything else to say? And going back to also, we can be our worst enemies. We can be our worst enemies. And I think part of the work is trying to be like our own best friend. And that's something actually that I've always said too. Because a lot of the things that we tell ourselves, we would not tell our best friend. And something that I've said, like when people talk or when I talk to myself, is like, would I say this to my best friend? Like I wouldn't. So why am I saying this to myself? And it's practice, right? Like it's practice to be aware of what we tell ourselves. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to share, like the 3 ways that I've coped with doubt and my feelings. Oh yeah, you know something else that I learned from this season that I entered a couple months ago was that I still had this perspective that once I do this, I'll feel better. And at first it started off with, like, I came back from living at my friend's house, and it became this thing of, like, I think I could feel this feeling arising, but the thing that I told myself was, oh, once I'm settled down at my parents' house, I'll feel better. And then my room got all, like, not ready, but I guess my room, I settled into my room, I settled into my own things, I put everything up, and I was still feeling shitty. And then I was, okay, once I get my desk, like, I'll feel better. Like, I'll have a working space, I'll have my privacy, like, I'll feel better. And then I got it and I didn't feel better. And then the last thing, which is so interesting, was so I have a bulletin board in my room and a whiteboard. And I have my mandala, I have pictures and just, like, affirmations in a way. And the last straw was, once I get that board up, I'm gonna feel better because it's gonna be a good reminder. And then that was up and I still felt shitty. So it was that awareness of, like, okay, I still don't feel better. I'm not feeling better meditating or doing yoga or seeing this, like, going back to that, giving it space and just going with it and feeling it. But yeah, so anything else? Let's see. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share? It doesn't have to be about this topic necessarily. I'll give it a little bit. Okay, well, then I'm gonna conclude it with saying that wherever you're at is alright. Wherever you're at in coping with feelings and emotions is alright. Oh, Annie, I'm at the gym and this is motivating me. Hell yeah! You keep going, Annie. You can do this. I'm gonna text you afterwards. But yeah, the way that we the way that we cope with our feelings, the way that we deal with our feelings is different in every in every season of our lives. This is where I'm at now, and who knows where I'll be next year with these feelings. And this is not entirely how I cope with feelings, right? Sometimes I am in this fearful or doubtful space and I jump into whatever I'm fearful about. This is how the whole Tea Time Thursday started, where I saw myself being nervous and doubtful about being live, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm totally gonna do it. And sometimes it works for me that way and sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, like, again, so going back to, we all deal with our feelings and our emotions in different ways, and wherever you're at is alright. And all of the methods that we use serve us in some way. Even my season of instant gratification, it served me in some way, and at some point these methods don't work and it's time to change and it's time to grow and it's time to learn. And I wouldn't change that season for anything because I learned so much. And even learning how powerful these tools are, I still use them and they're still powerful, and I wouldn't change that. And I'm so grateful that I know these tools. And now I'm in this other season where I am feeling my feelings, letting myself cry, letting myself feel doubtful, letting myself feel fearful, being aware of it, letting myself feel fucking frustrated, and being alright with it, and being aware that it's not entirely who I am. And Carla said, yeah, when we feel like it's not working, it's still working. Yeah. Are you talking about, like, our tools? The spiritual tools? Krishna Das actually just said that in his last chanting. Maybe not in the way we think it's working, but as long as we have the intention to feel better, we will. Yeah, that's so true. As long as we have the intention to feel better, we will. Yeah. It's like practice, like work. But it's good work, even when it doesn't feel like it. Yeah. Okay, so anything else that I want to end this with? Annie, you keep running, you keep doing the Stairmaster. Carla, I'm so fucking wise. Duh. Yeah, Annie's at the gym, and she's there because she wants to feel better about herself, so fuck yeah. Carla, fuck, I love myself. I love you too, and I love myself too. Okay, so... Okay, much love, guys. I love you all. Thank you guys for signing up, showing up on here, and... Okay, I think that's it. So I'm going to end it with a quote. And this is by Gabby. So I love Gabby Bernstein. Go follow her. She's a spiritual teacher, leader, and I follow her a lot. So this is how it goes. I used to believe that when things felt out of control, I had to control more. Now I know that my need to control was an attempt to feel safe. So, yeah, I wanted to share that because I feel that a lot of our feelings and our emotions are with that intention, even though, again, we're not aware of it at the time, where they're just trying to keep us safe. They're trying to protect us. They're trying to make sure we're all right and, you know, don't hurt ourselves in any way. But yeah. Okay, so much love, guys, and I love you guys. So have a great weekend. Bye.